Hello, ladies and gentlemen of SeemsGoodMagic.com. This is Travis Simulan Sowers. We are jumping into a Shadows over Innistrad 8-4 draft. Recently got my limited rating up over 1850, which I think means I sort of know what I'm doing in this format. After having a little fun last week and doing a format I obviously didn't know anything about, thought we'd jump into something where I can maybe know what the cards do in the interactions. Also coming off of a online PTQ top 8, which was pretty awesome. I lost in the semis. That was not awesome, but it felt good to get there again. I had top 8'd one, gosh, I think it was in August ago or something on stream. Streamed the whole thing. That was pretty cool too. Ended up drafting a black-white deck that lost to, gosh, what's the blue enchantment that lets you just draw a million cards when you start hitting people? Ongoing Investigation, I believe it is. I was hoping we'd open one here because my love for that card has gotten bigger. It turns out it is a good card. The Investigation is indeed ongoing. Here, I don't think we've really got much choice. Bound by Moonsilver is just great removal, and the fact that you can move it around and splash for it does a lot. Other cards here that are worth considering are the Dread Knight. It is a big giant dragon later. You kind of have to untap with it, but once you've built a 5/5 out of it, it's pretty good. It's big, it's evasive, it'll kill somebody. I'm still not sure whether I like Jenny Loggins better than the Quilled Wolf. But both of these 2-drops are fantastic. And there's a slight edge here in that we're not passing any white, which is cool. I found white and green to be the deepest colors. That's about all I've figured out so far. I don't mind the blue-white deck either. Like, it's a fine one. So we've got a Bound by Moonsilver here. And then there's not really, like, an amazing white card to pick here. I'm not married enough to this that I'm like, okay, we're just taking this Devilthorn Fox. Like, none of these cards are particularly amazing. They're all sort of combo-y pieces. I think the strongest individual card that also has the potential to be played with the Bound by Moonsilver is probably the Duelist. I don't mind playing aggressive decks, and there is an aggressive Boros-style deck here. It also fits into combo Vampires and even Red-Green Beats, which we're pretty far away from, but like, I could see slamming the Pour Over the Pages as the most individually powerful card, because it certainly does a lot. Or if you're really married to Bound by Moonsilver, taking a Devilthorn Fox, but we're still not passing good white, taking this, and we're not locked into either of these. If there was a green Vessel, I'd probably just take it, as I've really enjoyed green-white Delirium-based strategies, but that is not what we're doing here. Again, there's not really anything that's pushing me away from taking another Duelist and then looking to wheel crappy 2-drops. Like, white-red Dudes and Tricks is not a bad deck. Even some consideration for green. I like Gloom Widow a lot in Red-Green Beats. I like it in the 3/3 Wolf, because the fact that they can't block what you want to block doesn't matter as much. There's just not anything amazing here. Like, Expose Evil is a trick I would want in a deck like this. He says 3 picks in. We don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but can pretty safely say it's aggressive red. Looks to be at least open-ish. So here's another little moment where we could start to think about, do we want to do something else? We've got an Epitaph Golem. We've got an Aim High. I think Aim High is probably a better card than the Moorland Drifter. But there's nothing here that's kind of telling me we should be in another color or doing another thing. I would normally want the Inspiring Captain as just a good card for this style of deck. We're going to have to start taking 2-drops at some point. So just without any other options, I'll grab this one. I'm still very open to another color. I haven't seen it yet. We'll talk about seeing it. It's here. Here's where we've got a Stitchwing Scab, which is just a great card, and a Solitary Hunter, which is easily one of my favorite green commons. Like, this guy just gets huge and is already pretty darn good. Like, is it a fluke that we saw these and maybe we just end up white-green beats anyway? Well, we're 5 picks in. There's no point in trying to focus too much. I do think flyers finish games in this format. Like, this would still leave us open to some blue-red tempo shenanigans. Because we haven't exactly seen great... no, I like the Solitary Hunter too much. I was going to say, we haven't exactly seen great white. So there's really no reason to assume that we're white. And then we're here. Like, Provisioner's fine. But, like, are you really playing a deck that's just chock full of 4-drops? Gods, I hope not. If I'd taken the 3-1, I'd be pretty happy with the Scrutiny. I don't think I'm ready to take a rush of adrenaline, so sure. Let's see where we end up here. Like, none of these cards is inherently powerful enough to say you need to be doing this. I'll take a Vessel here. I don't mind that card. I think we're probably playing white something. It feels like a late sleep paralysis, but it's probably too late for me to do that, isn't it? Like, I could just take the Reduced to Ashes and say, okay, we'll pick up some Garbo-y 2-drops next pack and see what happens. Because we're seeing these come by. I don't mind blue-white skies, but, like, I'm going to take this. Let's see if that some high-power creatures wheel. Dear Lord, baby Jesus. I mean, is it too late to just jump on the blue train? I guess we'll find out, because, like, there's playable blue cards wheeling here in basically a vacuum where there's just not anything else. So that this was a very weird first pack. I'm not exactly sure where we're going yet. I mean, Silent Observer's basically a Terminate. Maybe we should just be doing blue-white. Like, seeing that sleep paralysis so late was probably the first actual signal we've seen this draft. Like, we could easily go anywhere from here. Like, Moorland Drifter. The only white card we have that's a reason to be white is the Bound by Moonsilver. We don't really have a great reason to be red either, so I guess we're in the enviable position of we're quite open for the next pack. The bad news is we've derped around so much, we really may be short playables, which is an unenviable position to be in. It harkens back to the olden days of drafting where just getting enough playables was a concern. But we've got some powerful cards of each color. I actively like the first Reduced to Ashes. I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like the more expensive removal spells, whereas I kind of like just would rather have them. Well, I guess we got to take the Sorin here. Funny, it's the one card we're not. But I think that's powerful enough that you just try to splash it. I still don't know exactly what we're pairing it with, but it could actually be green. Oddly enough, we have the least amount of playables there, but if I can pick up some of the green fixing, we could do something there. This is undisciplined drafting, but when I've got okay white cards... Okay, so we just go for it now, right? Like, I think this is the gods telling us, Travis, just do it. Disciplined drafting is out the window. We're now just playing basically Garbo bombs. And what I mean by that is we're accepting that the power level of these two cards is so high that we're willing to basically play things in our deck like essentially hill giants in order to enable them. Because this card's busted. This card's busted. If we can just get them into play, we probably win. If we can't, we probably lose. I'm going to focus on a green-white build trying to splash these, as that's going to give me the best 2-drops. And that 2s and 3s basically, like Herman here. And that gives us an opportunity to do two things. One is we may have aggressive starts where we can actually kill our opponent. And two, we can stabilize with the white and green cards and then cast these and win the game with them. So like Deadweight looks like a reasonable pick here. I don't believe that it is. I think this deals with a lot of the things Deadweight does and that you can block and trade. Ever After is a really good card too. But I think we're pretty far away from wanting to do something like that when I can just grab a gargoyle, and this will do a lot for us. Of note, not really cards in the colors that we're looking to play, but I think we can still find enough playables to get there. I don't have to have good ones and twos. I just have to have them. Like, I would probably play the Inquisitor. I imagine our deck's going to be filled out with some number of Wicker Witches as well. And I would like to get some of the green fixing. We're just not seeing it here. But I don't mind a 2/2 flyer. Even if we can't activate it, it's fine. I do wish I had all of those 3/1 foxes now. They would be pretty handy. I'll also take bad fixing if we have the opportunity to get it. And by bad fixing, I mean that sack land. Apothecary Geist is fine. It's not crazy exciting, but it works. Wombo combo with the Shepherd. And the Moorland Drifter. So we're the classic green-white spirits, werewolves, planeswalker, frog horror, gargoyle deck. Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable archetype. It may seem a little strange that I'm like, okay, cool, we're green. But I do believe that green will eventually, if we pick it aggressively enough, give us the fixing to splash a little bit of black. Like, all we really need is a fork in the road and we're in business. I don't know that this deck can really do this. It certainly can't currently. And we're short enough on playables that I think I have to take a boring Cathar's Companion. I just said we'd be relatively happy with a Wicker Witch, and I think that we would. Yeah, I just need dudes to trade off so we can cast this stuff. Now, really want this Throbbing Inspector. Like, super bad want it. The question is, do I just have to take the fork in the road? Because this is actively good for us. Like, it can block all manner of X1s. It gives us a little bit of card draw. There's a chance we're going to have to play 18 lands to get our mana right. I think I value the Inspector more. I'm being greedy here, and I'm going to hope it'll pay off for me. We'll see. If I got to play that, I got to play that. It's an okay trick. Emissary's just fine. I think this does a lot of the same things that you want a Watcher in the Web to do, but also attacks for more. So I think it's actively good. I will want some manner of combat tricks. We've already got a clunky, expensive one. At least this replaces itself. This does have keyword big, but we've kind of already got that here. So these are in the we might play them if we have to pile. Inquisitor's probably getting in there. So now all I really want is like a fork in the road and a black-white duel, which I think we passed earlier. Go figure. I guess you never know what you're going to open, huh? Chaplain's Blessing, probably not the droid we're looking for. The more I play, the more impressed I get with any card that creates a clue. Expose Evil can buy you some time, force through some damage. It just does so much. Maybe a Solitary Hunter isn't a signal that green's open. Because green is so deep. There's just so many good green cards in this set. It's kind of like you can be at a table with 4 people drafting green and be fine. Like, that's not ideal, but it's not like the end of the world if that happens. Alright, so we've got Rabbit Bite, which we're probably interested in. I don't know that we're enabling this. Normally I slam a Griff Spoon and am pretty happy about it. True Faith Sensor wouldn't be terrible either. I guess I should really be thinking about what's our removal suite look like. And currently it's basically Bound by Moonsilver and that's it. I don't have to play this Vessel. We don't really have any way to enable Delirium, so this is kind of just a hard to cast 3/3 in our deck. Like, if the game goes long enough, yeah, the Gitrog Monster will get a land in, and this will get a thing, and like, we're not playing any sorceries. I actively want those cards, but I may just need to take the bite so I can kill something. We're nowhere near close to this doing anything. Now, this is weird, but if I'm in green, this is what we need to be doing. I would like the Evangel. I usually like this in these style decks. I mean, it's just value. But I think I need to take the Rabbit Bite. I don't like it, but here we are. I have no issue with more Thraben Gargoyles. Like, these guys are just fine. They block early, they can attack late. Like, I'll take as many of these as I can get. I would really like a Quilled Wolf, but if I don't start taking some mana fixing at some point, we're probably not going to get there. Like, it's a great 2-drop, though. Like, I'm always scared when my opponent plays them. But we're at 12 creatures now. And I think our plan is still to cast these guys. And this helps me do it. Like, we need, what, 5 playables? And we've got some we can play here if we have to. I'm going to take the Orchard. If I don't get some fixing somewhere, we're really going to regret that. I'd mentioned that I liked Gloom Widow earlier. I actually don't like it so much in a deck like this, where the fact that it can't block non-flyers is a real drawback. I think it's still the pick just because there's really nothing else here. I don't like main decking a Humble the Brute, and we're close enough to being short on playables that I may have to run it, but what am I more interested in? Something big or something little? Probably just another Drifter. Like, let's just get our 2-drops settled. It doesn't look like I'm going to see that fork in the road I wanted, so that Thraben Inspector pick is looking a little worse. I think what really happened is green wasn't open, I moved into it, and here we are. It's kind of difficult to tell what else we should be doing besides possibly blue, because there are some late playable blue cards going around here. Lone Dryad is not a card I've typically liked very much. I suppose it does fix for our black, and it can lead to some quick starts. I think I can give it a try here. Is this crazy? It feels a little crazy. Yeah, this feels a little crazy, but like we've got, I guess, a clue to crack, maybe 2. We've got some weird stuff going on here. I know Bound by Moonsilver can get you lands in the graveyard pretty easy. So, like, it's not unreasonable that we'd get Delirium going. It's just right now the only payoffs we have for it are these guys. And I still don't think you want the Soul Swallower over the first Rabid Bite when you've got basically no reliable way to get Delirium going. Like, I feel like maybe I've just been spoiled by the Vessel of Nascency because that card's so good. Like, I kind of don't want to play a deck that's trying to do Delirium if I don't have that. Currently, we're probably running these guys. And maybe something like this, and we're almost a deck. Is there a world in which I want 2 Lone Dryads? I kind of don't think there is. I think I'd rather just play 18 lands and then depend on these guys to draw cards. Like, make sure I hit the land drops, make sure I have the colors. I guess it's the card I'm most likely to play out of this batch. True Faith Sensor, though, I will put in over an extra land. Like, that makes basically all of our dudes better. They don't even have to be human. Admittedly, these two can't attack early, so I'm not looking at us as an aggro deck, but slapping this on an Inspector is good value. Putting it on a Flyer is great. Putting it on an Inquisitor's great. Hell, we could put it on a Gitrog monster and do a thing. So this is an interesting pile of green and white and black cards that I have here. I'm glad I could show off my drafting expertise. None of these cards are cards I would classify as unplayable. We willed the Griff Spoon. That doesn't actually make any sense at all. I'm going to take it. I don't know what we cut for it, but probably the Survive the Night. Or maybe this might be on Raisin. I like combat tricks. These are not the ones I like. I like the really cheap ones. The +2/+2 and shenanigans if you have an equipment, or +1/+1 and a clue. I like the fact that this turns anything into a threat. And I like the fact that this one investigates. I think both of those are reasonable things. Maybe if somebody's crazy aggro, we want a Moldgraph Scavenger. I think the cut may actually be the Loam Dryad. I'm just going to hack this because I don't want to play against it. The reason being is it looks like we're going to be mainly white and then kind of playing green as a secondary main color, but we're kind of just like mono white with a little bit of black and a lot of extra green. Maybe we want that in a grindy matchup. And if I'm expecting to turn 1 this and ramp into something, that's kind of stupid if I'm not going to be playing that many forests. Like, the fixing didn't work out to the point that I can run, 9-8-3 without just jamming more lands in this deck than I want to play. I guess there's also the argument that I could cut 1 more card and run 18 lands because we've got reasonable mana sinks. Yeah, I think I can probably get behind that too. Like, Expose Evil sort of does something, but I'm not really forcing through damage with it. There's so many things to do with our mana here. I think I may just cut that and run 18 lands and make the mana a little bit better, because I'm probably playing just straight up 2 swamps. We don't have any way to search them out. And we've got 2 cards already that make clues. We can spend mana bringing back Griffspoon, turning these into threats, equipping this, and as long as we hit our land drops, both of these dudes draw cards. You could argue maybe just lose this for another dude. It doesn't even have to be a good dude, just a dude. Like, Gloom Widow's okay. We're going to have some trouble with flyers. I like the fact that this combat triggers pseudo cantrips. So maybe I could just do this, actually, if that's what we're worried about. Like, this makes sure that we've always got something to do with extra lands, because so many of our cards just come with draw a card. As long as we're casting them, we can eventually get the cards back. And the Provisioner's okay. It's not great. It pumps this dude. It pumps that dude. It's a 3/3 with Trample that can carry a True Faith Sensor. That's a pretty big game. So I can do this and jam basically... Well, that's a little more than I anticipated. I do think we want 9 here, and probably something like this. This gives us 9, 7, 3. Because we don't have to have green early, but we'd really like to hit like the Hermit and the Hunter on time. I almost want another swamp too. But with 3 in the deck, like, we should usually see it by turn 12 or something. That may not be enough. What if I do this? 9, 6, 3. So I'm not casting Rabid Bite on time. I'm probably not casting Hermit on time. I think I can do that. This is, again, a deck that's being a little greedy. And by a little, I mean a lot. And we're trying to basically just leverage the power of these 2 mythic rares to win games we have no business winning. We are, as I mentioned, capable of some aggressive-ish starts, but don't let this curve fool you. These are 1 mana 2/2 defenders. They're not doing anything until very late in the game. Most of our creature base from here over is to stall our opponent and play stuff, and then we're actually planning to kill them with basically... I guess Provisioner isn't really in that group, but this is what we're looking to win the game with. So the rest of this, like... It's living its dream if any of these cards actually trade with our opponent's stuff. I think Griffspoon is just too much value for me to ignore. But I'm going to load this bad boy up and see you guys for round 1. Wish me luck.